Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the idea of being ready for anything that happens. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. I've had a lot of people ask me for a sneak peek to the premium list because they don't really know what it comes with. I've actually just created a new sign up page where you don't actually pay anything, but you just get a welcome email with a few different old reports and a couple of really old videos. But this gives you an idea of what you would expect if you did sign up for the premium list. You can find a link to that in the description below. I'll make it fairly obvious which link I'm talking about if you're just wanting to get a sneak peek. You still won't get access to, say, the indicators on TradingView, the risk dashboard. You won't get access to like the Telegram alerts channel or the chat room or anything like that, but you will get a few videos that you can look at and a few prior reports that you can just take a look at, see if it's your thing or not. So check that out in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we're sort of in a precarious position right now. Bitcoin continues to flirt with its prior all-time high. Every analyst known to man is calling for a $70,000 Bitcoin. I would contend that a $70,000 Bitcoin is still theoretically on the cards. However, I've also seen this happen many times before where everyone calls for higher prices because every technical indicator makes it seem like it should go higher, but then it doesn't. Okay, so I would agree, as I've always said, I've been saying for months now, that momentum is hard to stop. Okay, and that each and every day, if you were to ask me what is the more likely route for Bitcoin in the short term, I would obviously just keep saying up, because if you look at the last 6 months, if you only ever said up, you would be you'd be right way more often than you would be wrong. And this is where things get dangerous, because eventually people start to get a little bit too comfortable with that idea, right? They get a little bit too comfortable that it only ever goes up. So the main point of this video is to say, how do you navigate these types of things? Well, I can tell you how I navigate market conditions like this. And not only for Bitcoin, but for cryptocurrency in general, for other markets as well. When things do get heated in an asset class, you can always skim profits off the top, right? It doesn't mean you have to sell your entire position, right? Of course you don't. I still have a lot of Bitcoin. But what you could do, as always, as I've always said, especially, if you're just looking to bank some profits so that you can actually use it for something to improve your life, or to show that, hey, crypto is not just this thing that I put money into and it's like a black box that never gives anything back. It is okay to take profits. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that'll tell you to just hold for forever, and that's fine. But there are a lot of people, I think, that would benefit from occasionally taking profits. It's not financial advice. And again, I do think that the market cycle peak for Bitcoin will be between $100,000 to $200,000. So I do think there's a lot of room to move up for the price of Bitcoin. However, I also do know that we can have fairly significant crashes that most people do not expect. Okay, again, during the last market cycle, we had several 40% crashes. Arguably, this cycle appears to be a lot different in terms of the structure. We're not really getting nearly as many of these major corrections. We have had a couple, we had a 30% correction and then like a 25% correction. We haven't had one of these 40% corrections yet this market cycle. I do think we will get one at some point, but it has not happened yet. Now, where would a 40% correction take us? So everyone's already ready for a $70,000 Bitcoin, right? Everyone's ready for that. In fact, a lot of people have already sort of assumed that it's going to happen in the next week or two. And I'll admit that it is a possibility that Bitcoin could theoretically head north up to that $70,000 range, which is not that far from where we currently are. However, if you only ever think deterministically, it will burn you at some point, because a 40% correction from here, from the top anyways, would actually take us back down to our bull market support band, which is a combination of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. So the reason I say this is to not cause fear or anything like that, but it's to, when you navigate these cycles, I think it's important to sort of put yourself in a position where you can take advantage of no matter what happens. Like if the price continues to go up, then your portfolio valuation goes up, and you can choose to take profits or not, but you benefit because your portfolio valuation goes up because you own Bitcoin. If it drops, then the idea is to have dry powder on the side, right? Some maybe stable coins that are just sitting there earning interest for you, maybe a little bit of cash in one of your accounts to just scoop up the dip. So I would say the best way that I have found to navigate Bitcoin is to always have a little bit and a little bit on the side that would allow you to sort of quote unquote scoop up the dip, okay, buy the dip. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people just sort of go all in the minute they get the opportunity. They don't think about the idea of, well, maybe you should maybe you should hold back some for a little while and just earn interest on stable coins. And then whenever there is a dip, then you can then push back into the market. So what I sort of do, to give you a rough idea, as Bitcoin trends higher, in general, I do take profits off the table. And I think a lot of people in the space who have been here a while would also say that that is something they do as well. Now, there are going to be some people who operate in a more deterministic way, like they're only going to sell once it crosses like $300,000, which again, it's not necessarily a bad strategy, because I do think Bitcoin will eventually get to that level. But if you want to sort of look forward to dips, then sometimes having fiat on the side or stablecoins on the side to sort of buy that dip can be an advantageous perspective. It can put you in an advantage. And the other thing I think that it allows you to do is, no matter what happens, you're sort of happy in a way, right? So if the price goes up like this, if the price continues to go up, then your portfolio does well, and the higher it goes, the more profits I take. Okay, so as this goes up, my stablecoin position goes up as well, because I would systematically just scale out slowly. Okay, not selling everything, right? I have no intention on selling everything. Especially there's some Bitcoin I bought back in October when it was at 10K, and I'll wait till at least October to sell that, because I don't have any interest in paying short-term capital gains. But long-term capital gains, I'm more than fine paying, especially if it means cashing out small amounts every step of the way. So my general strategy is, as Bitcoin goes up, I slowly take out profits, okay? And a lot of times I'll put these into stable coins. Occasionally I'll get a little bit, I will become a little bit more risky, and maybe I'll transfer some of that maybe over to Ethereum or something in hopes of a move there. But in general, for Bitcoin, a lot of the times when I'm taking the profits, they'll go to stable coins. And then those stable coins just earn interest, so at least they're doing something while, no matter what Bitcoin's doing. Okay, so then at some point, right, if we keep going up, then the stablecoin position continues to increase. So I'm systematically offsetting risk from Bitcoin to stablecoins. And then if we ever get a dump, then I just slowly scale back in some of those profits. Now, that's how I navigate the market cycle. There are some things you have to consider. For instance, if you do take profits and you see the price of Bitcoin continue to go up in the short term, and you're not going to be okay with that, then it might not be the best strategy for you. Okay, if you take profits and you just don't like sitting on stable coins, like you would feel much more comfortable having everything in Bitcoin, then this strategy would not work for you. If you're like me and you like sort of mitigating some risk occasionally, so that you're not just all in crypto all the time, which sometimes when the portfolio valuations go up so quickly, my percentage of crypto in terms of my entire portfolio, including stocks and other things, my crypto portfolio valuation in terms of its percentage compared to everything else will go up substantially. And so what I like to do occasionally is I'll take some profits out and put them into not only stable coins, sometimes I'll put them into mutual funds, ETFs, some other safer assets, so that, and we could of course argue if it's safe or not compared to, with what's going on in the world. But the general idea is, everyone who's been in crypto for, at least a few years has experienced these major crashes. I mean, just last March, in fact, a year ago today, we had a 40% drop in a single day. So the reason I do it is because I like taking advantage of every move that happens, and not assuming in any deterministic way that we have to go to any specific price. So always be prepared for anything. What does that mean? For me, it means systematically taking some profits off the table, ready to buy back into the dip if it dips down to a level that I'm comfortable buying back into, but also remaining keeping enough Bitcoin to maintain the potential upside that you would get if it does go to $70,000. So that way, whether it does go to $70,000 in the short term or not, right? If it goes to 70K, great. You have Bitcoin, your portfolio valuation goes up. If it doesn't go to 70K, if it just chills at 55K, then your stable coins are earning interest, right? Or wherever else you put the money, they're earning interest. So at least that's doing something. If it dumps, if the market dumps, then you'll look back and be like, all right, well, at least you took some profits. And that way you can buy back in on the dip. So in this manner, I think that there is a strategy there is a strategy I like to follow to prepare myself for no matter what happens, whether it goes up, down, or sideways. It doesn't really matter. I just stick to the plan. It helps mitigate my risk. Okay, as things go parabolic, I like to DCA some of those profits. It helps mitigate my risk. But then you also don't want to get rid of everything, because we recognize that there's a decent probability that Bitcoin could just go straight to 70K in the short term. One thing that does give me some pause is the fact that every analyst known to man seems to be thinking that Bitcoin's going to go to $70,000 in the next week. And while I will contend it is a possibility, I mean, we should also contend that having a correction could also be a possibility, and that we should not operate in a deterministic manner and say that it will definitively go up, because in every bull market in the past, every step of the way, most people, not everyone, most people are just going to keep saying it's going to go higher, right? They just keep saying buy the dip. And then what happens is that over here, everyone just says buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, and it keeps on working. But then eventually, we drop and people say buy the dip, and we just say, okay, we're going to go back up and it's going to be the same old thing. But then what happens? Then we come back down and people keep saying buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, and then people start to get a little bit disenfranchised with the idea of buying the dip, mainly because it just keeps trending down for a while. So this is why I'm saying have a strategy in place. Whether it means having stable coins or not is up to you, right? I mean, that's going to be up to you. But if you're just say all in on Bitcoin, I would say just relax, right? If as long as your timeline is more than a few months, if your timeline is on the order of years, I really do think you can just relax. Don't worry about the short-term moves. I see a lot of people getting emotional when it goes up $1,000. Everyone's euphoric. When it drops $1,000, everyone's saying the bear market started. So there's a lot of that going on today. When we get these small percentage drops and people start to freak out, it does make me worried, because eventually we will have a drop and it won't rebound so quickly, and we're going to have to dig deep to get through that time. And that is the time when people who did have a little bit sitting on the sidelines can take advantage of that opportunity. And the people that don't, maybe it'll work out better for them, maybe or not. Maybe it won't. It just depends on how high up we go ultimately before we have a more sizable correction. Again, I do think Bitcoin will go to $100,000 to $200,000 this market cycle, but I do think there will be a lot of bumps along the way. If you guys like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. And remember, you can sign up for the premium list Altcoin season sale. That's in the description below as well. But if you want to get the sneak peek to the premium list before signing up and just see what it's all about, I'm going to link that in the description below as well. You'll get access to about 4 prior reports and I think 2 prior videos. It'll give you an idea of what to expect. They're all old. I don't anticipate they're going to be that insightful, but I do think some of them provide principles that are useful till today. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 250,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.